Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Real 1% podcast. And today's special guest is actually coming from across the border, man. It's the first time we're going to have a Canadian veteran on. So my man, Dave, I met him in Vegas at the Military Influencer Conference, and he is an Army veteran from Canada. He's on a mission to help 100,000 veterans lose 2 million pounds, and he's also a podcast host. He has the podcast Hard to Kill, was rated #1 podcast in the veteran space last year. And he also is the author of some books, personal trainer, entrepreneur, and just a great overall dude. So without further ado, how you doing today, Dave?
Doing great, man. That's a great intro, man. I need you to be my hype guy from now on.
I'm ready for it, man. Just get me up to Canada, dude.
Not right now. It's way too cold, man. I wouldn't put you through that now. Coming from Florida up here, it's the other way around, man. That's what, from my province, we all come down. I don't know where you're at in Florida, but if you hear French, it's from my neck of the woods. They're all the Frenchies that come down.
Yeah, you guys are invasive, dude. You guys taking over Costa Rica, Florida, all the warm weather spots, man. You just find Canadians riding around on golf carts, man.
Hells yeah.
But yeah, dude. Hey, what made you want to join the military in the first place? So I like to start off by asking that question and just seeing like what it was, a childhood dream, or what was your take on that?
A little bit. I really just wanted to shoot guns, get strong, and pick up chicks, like make some money. Like it was like there's a lot of selfish reasons for joining, because I was started at 18. I got in when I was 19 officially.
Okay.
But I was always kind of I was always really pumped up by G.I. Joe and all the 1980s American war movies, Chuck Norris, Rambo. So I was always playing guns and playing soldier with my buddies, and it was just inevitable that it was going to happen, I think. Yeah. And I really looked up to my grandfather, even though I never really met him because he passed away when I was 3, but he was a World War II veteran. So he fought in Italy. And the stories I would hear were always pretty fascinating. And then other extended members of my family all fought in the Second World War too. So it was just part of the stories I heard. And I just figured, man, why not? The recruiting sergeant was there at school. So we have high school, and then we have another 2 years of, like, we call it college here, but it's not like your college. It's basically like grade 12, grade 13. Okay. And that's where the recruiting sergeants would typically go. And the dude that was there, he's my buddy now, but he was wearing just a slick uniform. Like, my regiment has a really slick uniform. And I figured right off the bat, I'm like, man, I'm going to pick up so much girls if I wear that. Like, that's my mentality, right? I'm 18 years old. I'm not thinking, hey, I'm going to serve my country. I'm like, man, I'm going to pick up so many chicks and make some money and throw some grenades, shoot some guns, and enjoy my summer. And then we'll see where it goes from there. So, it turned into like 15 years plus a deployment in Afghanistan. And, it was basically my career for that part, even though I was a reservist. But from there, it's transitioned to podcasting and coaching. And I was a teacher for a little bit too, but it really formed who I was as a man early on. And I'm really appreciative of the experience I had, man.
Did you get to pick? How does it work in the Canadian Army and all your guys' military? Do you guys get to pick your job, or do they sort of just assign you something?
So the reserves are a little bit different here compared to that stateside. So we all have regiments. So it's based off the British system. So every major city here in Canada has a bunch of different regiments that go back hundreds of years, right? Most of them anyways. Or at least to the First World War. A lot of them were stood up during the first. Ours was one of the original ones in Canada. It goes way, 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 way back. So I decided to join them because I live in Montreal. It's predominantly French, but there's technically 3 English regiments, and I'm English, obviously. So I decided to join the Canadian Grenadier Guards because they had a cool uniform. They got to do stuff in Ottawa where we do like this changing of the guard, similar to what they do in the UK, and do all the cool Army stuff on top of that. And it was just because they had a cool uniform. All the others seemed the same, but this one had a cool uniform. And I said, yeah, why not? Let's do it. So they're infantry. They're an infantry unit. I had no idea what all the other units were. I didn't know there was artillery. I didn't know there was armored. That was irrelevant to me. What's the one that allows me to shoot guns and blow stuff up? Infantry. So I was like,
Yeah.
cool. Like that's when I read like the qualifications and what you get to learn and stuff. And I was like, oh my God, I get paid to do this. So yeah, I joined. And the as the years progress, like you get to pick the courses that you want to do and you get to pick the deployments that you want to get on. But there
Okay.
wasn't that many deployments. But I joined in 2001, and we all know what happened in 2001. So I finished my initial, what we call developmental phase 1, which allowed me to be a fully qualified infantry soldier. And I remember I'm at football practice on September 11th, and I don't know what's going on because it's September 11th, 2001. Dude, nobody has a phone. There's a
Yeah.
little TV in our college that's showing stuff. People are there's an energy. People are kind of like, it's weird, right? And so I'm at football practice, and one of my buddies is like, dude, you're going to war, man. I'm like, what are you talking about? He's like, you didn't see what's on TV? I'm like, no, I didn't see what's on TV. He's like, dude, you gotta go check it out. And then panic just sets in. Like, it's like, oh shit, I joined at the wrong time, man. I'm going to war. And anyways, it took 10 years for me to actually get to war in
Damn.
Afghanistan
Shit.
because we have so few positions, and there's a lot. But as soon as the war kicked off, everybody wanted to get over and get some action because Canada doesn't really see much action on a large scale in terms of warfare. But when you join, that's part of the reason why you join, man. It's volunteer. I didn't have to join the military, but I want to get in the fight. So I tried to get over to Bosnia. It didn't happen. That tour kind of closed down. Then all the stuff in Afghanistan started happening, but the reserves weren't going. And then I was in college, or I was in university at that point. And one tour came up, and I was like, wow, I really got to finish this degree, man, because if not, I know I'm never going to finish it. So I finished the degree, and then there's another tour, and I finally got on that one in 2010. So you kind of get to pick as a reservist. It's a pretty good gig. You get to pick the jobs that you want, and there's contracts open all over the place. So you can end up on the other end of the country picking a sweet job based off your rank and experience, and you get a full-time contract even though you're a part-time guy.
Okay.
And that's kind of how we operate. We fill gaps with our reserves, so we can go all over the country filling gaps. Some guys make a career out of it. All they do is part-time contracts. They can be instructors, or they can have a job on base, or whatever it may be. And then when you deploy, you're on contract too. But you're still not a full-time soldier. So it gives you a lot of latitude. If you just don't want to be posted out to the middle of nowhere, especially if you have a family, you can just choose where you want to work. You don't get paid as much. You get paid a little bit less, but for most of us and for myself, it was the best situation because I got to stay home in Montreal.
Absolutely.
I got to pick my deployments, and I got to finish my schooling. So that's kind of how I rolled in the military for 15 years.
When you joined, did you think you were going to do that long, or did you just think, hey, I'm going to get in here, do what you got to do and get out? What were your thoughts going through it?
Yeah, man, dude, day one, it was like the first time I was actually kind of good at something just instinctively. For me, it was like a big game of Simon Says. So if the sergeant was like, hey, do this, I did it.
Right.
But some other guys, like, as you know, like some other guys just struggle with basic instruction. I don't know.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I'm really good at it. And then on top of that, I went in relatively fit. I always played sports and stuff. And so my mentality, especially whenever I take something on, I always assume everybody's going to be a freaking beast and just blow me out of the water. So that fear of not being adequate has driven a lot of success in my life. So I showed up relatively fit because I had like one of my best friends went through already. He's like, dude, just start running and do some push-ups. So I was running every day. I was doing push-ups. I was doing pull-ups, and I was a lot lighter too. I joined at like 170 pounds. So like I'm ripping out pull-ups, and then I see dudes are just like, oh, they're struggling and farting all the time. I'm like, what's going on, man? Like, you can't do a pull-up? Like, what do you think you're getting yourself into? And the runs were a joke for me because I was fit. So what I just naturally translated into doing was just helping out buddies, kind of motivating them, making sure, because I was less tired. So my mind was able to function with the sleep depth and all the stress and stuff a lot better than somebody that was just struggling on the fitness side. So that got recognized. And then I realized, I'm like, man, I really freaking love this. Like, I like being told what to do. I like the aggressive side. I like the fact that it's kind of athletic, but not like elite level at this point. And I'm half decent at it out of the gate, and people are recognizing them half decent out of the gate. And I was like, man, I'm gonna stay in this long term, because I was never good at sports. I was okay. I was never a great hockey player. I was never a great basketball player. I was never a great football player. And so as soon as I got, and even school, I was like an 80% type guy. I was never in the 90s. I was never in the like bottom third, but I was kind of just in the middle, right? So when I got there, I finally recognized that I'm kind of better than the average. That feels good. I can keep on rocking this. So I said jokingly, I'm like, man, I'm a lifer. I'm a part-time lifer. I'm sticking into this for as long as I can. And I was going to, when I got back from tour, I really wanted to go full time and just make that my career. But I got released medically for the injuries I got when I was overseas. And so then that kind of ended that career. So then I went and fell back into teaching high school science and math.
Okay, so quick question on that, the injuries and stuff like that. When you got released medically, like what does that process look like in the Canadian Army? You know, did you have time to plan? It was a kind of abrupt, say, hey man, you're done, you know, like what did that look like for you?
Sucked. That's what it was like. It sucked. Because we were reservists and we're part-time, we got part-time service, like treatment. And nobody really knows what the hell's going on. There's a very small percentage of us that actually go fight. And when you come back, so what happens is it kind of sucks that when you go overseas, you miss out on career courses. You miss because you're fighting the war. Like, so when you come back, the guys that didn't go are now getting promoted, and then the world kind of carries on without you. But then you come back and they don't understand anything that you've done. They're not cluing in that, hey, you might be a little bit banged up. Like, the reason why you're not showing up maybe is because you've got some hidden traumas in there. Maybe you're pissed off, and they don't quite get it. So even the system wasn't even able to accommodate me properly. Like, I'm like, hey, I'm kind of suffering here, man. And thank God my commanding officer, he deployed a few times before. He saw me and he grabbed me. He's like, because I was a senior NCO at that point. He's like, hey, you're hurt. I'm like, he's like, okay, look, do you have any documentation? I'm like, no. He's like, sign it all right now. He's like, I'm going to have you do it right in front of me right now. He's like, document everything that happened. He's like, I'm signing it. You're going to the docs. And I'm like, okay, thanks, sir. Appreciate it. So if it wasn't for him, man, like I don't know where I'd be. But so I'm very appreciative of what he did, because he got it right. He understood. Like, I got to look out for my guys. But then that was a whole disaster, man. Like, going to like the base medical officer was such a freaking gong show, because they don't treat guys that come back from war. They're treating recruits on recruit courses all day. So I'm showing up as a sergeant, like, hey, my back's all messed up. My knee's messed up. I think I got some psychological issues. And they're like, from what? I'm like, what do you mean? I just got back from Afghanistan. And like, why were you in Afghanistan? Like, they didn't even understand like what I was going through, because they didn't even understand because they're like, well, why are you here? I'm like, this is the base medical officer, isn't it? They're like, uh-huh. Like, I'm a soldier. I need medical attention. This is where I come. They go, oh, okay. Yeah, because that's the thing. They weren't treating folks, because they were mostly geared with getting recruits through a pipeline at that base. So this whole system was so messed up. I was supposed to be part of this unit that was supposed to take care of me while I was getting better. They never called. They never did anything. So I was just kind of floating in the wind. And I just gave the middle finger to the military. I was just like, screw you guys, man. Like, I don't want anything to do with you. I just stopped going. I was supposed to show up and do like parades and stuff like that, and do some officer like stuff. And yeah, so I just kind of faded away, and nobody ever said anything. Nobody ever kind of said it. Nobody was like, hey, bro, like, what's going on? Is everything all right? And it got worse and worse and worse. And so then I just said, well, I'm just going to focus on my civilian life. And, you know, I got married, bought a house, had a kid, started a new career teaching, and just said, you know, I don't need you guys. Like, I'm done. I got a one-time payout for my back and for my knee. And I said, okay, thanks. And then they just sent me a letter in the mail saying, okay, you're out of the forces. And that That was January. That was January of 2016. So I was just like, I got the letter. I was like, okay, fine. Threw it in the garbage, and that was it. So very unceremonious. And I recognize now I didn't properly heal like initially, and so that came to like a forcible kind of end or start, however I want to see it, in around 2018, where the wheels fell off, man. Like I couldn't, I wasn't able to go to work anymore. I was freaking out, just like teaching 13-year-old kids. So it's not a good place to freak out.
Yeah, for real.
Right. But freaking out internally, like I
Right.
wasn't like just strangling anyone. I don't want to give anybody impression. It wasn't like smacking them around or anything like that. But I was having a really hard time. I couldn't get a grip of my stress. My blood pressure was going through the roof. The doctor was really worried. What's going on? I'm like, I don't know, man. Something's off. So it's just my body. The body keeps the score. So it was just saying, you gotta deal with some stuff that you didn't deal with. Because I just basically put everything I saw and did in Afghanistan in a box and just got on with it. And it was really, I guess, the moment that I had my back was just getting worse and worse and worse and worse. And got to the point where I could barely walk. And I'd have these massive flare ups. And I just had this one last flare up. And I remember lying on my bed, and I just had my son. And it was just a moment for me to reflect in pain that I can't live like this. So what am I going to do? Because this is unacceptable. I can't take pain meds through this. It's not going to fix what's wrong. So then I just swallowed my pride and just decided, okay, well, I'm going to have to go find people that understand how to fix people like me and not rely on the military to do it. And that's where, I found a coach, started working on strength at the basic level, started going for walks, and slowly but surely I started rebuilding and getting to a point where, I can compete now. Like I'm able to do Ironmans. I'm able to run marathons. I'm able to go to the gym every day I want. I just got back from jiu-jitsu. And so that gave me the realization, like, oh shit, if I can do this, like I have a back and knee injury, I can clearly help others do it. I went through it. And so that's kind of what spurred the whole fitness and health journey and the company. So that was all like 2018-ish, 2017, 2018, that kind of all came to a head. And I'm thankful for it, because had that not happened, maybe I'd still be kind of struggling and just, head down through life and not really trying to make any changes. So it all happens for a reason, right? So it's something that I had to go through, and I'm appreciative for it. And that's why I'm here chatting with a savage like yourself right now.
Dude, that's just, I don't know. I got to rewind a little bit and go back and to talk about a couple of things first. Like just getting a letter in the mail to say you're done with the military after you give 15 years. That's absurd, dude. And you're probably not the only one that's done that or had that happen, right? Like, I don't know if you have people that that have sort of done the same thing, but like, you didn't even have anyone like you're supposed to go like probably something like similar to like the Warrior Transition Battalion, where you go to all your appointments, you show up, for formation, and then you had no one on oversight, and you're a senior NCO, so like even for me, I was like a E5, E6, in the military, and it's like once you get to those sergeant ranks, like they think that you could just take care of yourself, and when you get out the military, everyone's so focused on staying in, people don't know what it's like to get out unless you really have like a mentor or friends that have gotten out. So, damn. So you just had like I had a pretty sour taste in my mouth after I left the military too, man. And it was kind of like you said, you got to swallow your pride and go after what's yours, because you devoted, damn near 20 years of your life to service, and then you just got shunned away like that, dude. It's kind of salty to say the least, like, damn, dude.
Yeah. So to make it, well, so the Canadians have this thing called departure with dignity.
Okay.
It's a mandated party essentially for anybody that's leaving the forces. You're supposed to have a planned, ceremony. And you're supposed to get something from the unit and something from the government. And it's like, okay, here's like a plaque or scroll or I don't know, coin. I don't know. Like it's something, right? Well, there was me and two of my buddies, and they joined a little bit before me, but we did everything together, man. Like we were a really good, solid senior NCO crew, and we just kind of went up together, and we did a lot of shit together, man. And we were all getting out at the exact same time. And I remember the new commanding officer, he was a buddy of ours. And I remember he's talking to me. He's like, dude, what are you guys doing? He's like, we were going to like live the dream here, man. He's like, we were going to have, me as a commanding officer. You guys are going to be my freaking senior NCO team. We're going to crush stuff. I go, look, man, it's too heartbreaking. I can't, like, what do you want me to say? Anyways, they didn't plan a departure with dignity. So the three of us, like always, we said, fuck it. We're doing our own. So we called everybody in the unit and we said, all right, on Saturday, we invited our wives and our kids and everything. We paid for all the beers and we said, let's go, boys. Like, let's open up the mess and let's have a good time and let's have a few beers and, sayonara. So we even organized our own departure ceremony because nobody was going to do it. And we figured we should probably do this for ourselves. We spend a lot of time here. It's not, it's not for the unit. It's for like us and the boys. So that's what we did, man. So like even that couldn't even get off the ground. So, there's a lot of animosity when you kind of think about like all the sacrifice you do for a place. And then at the last days, they're kind of like, well, okay, well, I guess we'll show up to your like thing that you're organizing for yourself. That we should be organizing for you.
Right.
And a lot of guys just don't get anything. But we said, we're not going out like that. We spent a lot of time here. We want to hang out, one last time with our buddies and our families. So, it's just one extra little story. And then after that, I really just didn't want anything to do with the army and the unit. But I've since kind of come around, like that. I've been able to let go of that anger because it doesn't serve me, right? Just being angry and being kind of resentful, it just eats away at you because they're just living rent free in your head. They don't care. Like I've been gone for 8 years now. They're not like, oh, I wonder how Moro's doing. They don't give a shit. And I get it. Like my wife, they're a big green machine, right? So I've started to make links back to the units here in Montreal through the business, and because I ultimately do love the military. It made me the man I am today, and I see there's a lot of room for improvement. And if I can, help a troop not get injured or help them get a little fitter so that they can make their decisions on their own for their career, not from a point of weakness where they're actually beat up and broken and then go through the same experience as me. That's how I see things now, and I'm thankful to be able to do that.
Well, that's good though, because I mean, it sucks when you go through it, right? Going through all that shit, and you're like, damn, you like just feel like you got spit out by a machine. But now you live through it, you got the story to prove it. So you're not just someone that got out high and mighty on the high horse, and like you got to go through the grinder yourself, and like, damn, man, I got spit out, but let me make sure no one else does. So it just kind of adds to your story and to your business. So the next thing I wanted to ask you about is, how'd you get into podcasting and writing books and stuff like that? Was it a 2-for-1 type of deal, or was it like one came before the other?
Pretty much, dude. I was in a bad way, man. I was like sitting in the basement. So in that whole like being released from the military, and I was really hard charging. And I recognize now that's kind of like a trauma response, man. Like I was doing everything. I just had a kid. I just bought a house, new career, started a master's at night, was coaching 2 teams at I was coaching football and coaching track and field. I started 2 clubs at school. I started a gardening club and I started a CrossFit club.
Okay.
I was going, man. I was going hard. And I realized it was just to occupy myself so I wouldn't have to deal with the demons inside. I was just going like gas brake. And I was training for CrossFit Opens. I was training for Spartan races. So I was in the gym all the time. So
were you sleeping?
Trying my best. Well, I had kids. I had little kids. So no.
Yeah, pretty much.
No, they're keeping me up at night. Like I was up at night, like helping with feedings and shit like that. So I recognize, and typical mentality, it's like, I did harder than this, man. I'm an infantry soldier. Like, come on, a few nights of like poor rest, easy. So that kind of led to where I said, I was having anxiety and just not being able to go to work and getting freaked out by teaching 13-year-olds. And that led me to leaving teaching because in my mind, this is the reason, this is the issue. I got to leave this job. And most people thought I was nuts because they saw it as typical like middle class attitude. Like, this is a good job. It's got a pension. Why are you doing this? You're a good teacher. I said, it's not for me anymore. So I got a job in tech. Lasted like 2.5, 3 months. It's a terrible fit. Got fired. And I'm like, oh
damn.
shit. I've never been fired before. I was in the military. You can't get fired. You know what
For
I mean?
real. Yeah.
And the impact of that was just like, and I had my daughter on the way, and I wasn't making any money. Wasn't getting any VA benefits because I didn't know that I even qualified. Other than the fact that the way our system works, like, you get injured, like a musculoskeletal, they go, okay, that's worth like 20 grand. So they give you just a one-time payout, and they go,
Oh.
see ya. They go, okay. So uh, I had no money coming in, and my employment insurance was about to run out, and I was just kind of like struggling, man. I was in the basement a lot, just really struggling. And I figured, you know what? I gotta just do something, because doing nothing is not going to help. And that's where I came up with the idea of the podcast and the book, because podcasting wasn't a thing that was on my radar until my buddy started one, and I thought it was pretty cool. And then I realized, if I talk to really smart people that know a lot about fitness, health, and mental health, maybe I can get some like free therapy, because like
Yeah,
I
absolutely.
couldn't get a therapist, man. Like I didn't have benefits. So that was kind of the reason why I got into it. It was to not go crazy. It was essentially it. I was always in the fitness and health space, and I just figured, man, why not take a crack at this and just start talking to folks in the fitness and health space. And I couldn't find any podcast that was related to the military or your first responder community on fitness and health. There's a lot, right? There's a
Yeah.
lot of like military based and like veteran based podcasts, but just specifically for uh, veterans and like military and first responders in the health space, I couldn't find any. So I said, you know what? I'm not that much of an expert, but I can talk to some experts. So that's how it got started. And then the book was just an extension of me reaching out to my buddy who was one of the sergeant majors at one of the units here. And I was like, can I come in and do like a seminar and teach them how to foam roll and do some exercise so they don't get hurt? He's like, yeah, absolutely. Come on in. And then I just asked them what the best module of like the 3 modules I taught was. And they said it was the one on foam rolling and stuff, because they've never heard any of that stuff before, and if it can prevent them from getting like shin splints and knee issues and back issues. So I wrote a few pages as just a follow-on doc, and then I realized like a few pages wasn't enough. I have to give more context, so I gave more and more context, and that just turned into a small like 75-page book, which I call the Nimble Warrior. So I started selling that too as just a means to help guys at the unit, different units. And now, I sell on Amazon, so you can pick it up, and it's just a really simple guide to how I got out of the pain cave. So I was able to do all the things I just mentioned, like Ironmans and stuff like that. It's something I do every day, right? I got my foam roller right here, and I got my lacrosse ball. And like if I'm watching Netflix, I'm on one of them, working on my tissue. So
Okay.
that's just kind of how I got started. And thankfully, it actually picked up some traction. And a few years later, not long after, it just became my main thing.
What year did you start doing it?
2018 ish. 2019 is where I really kind of said, okay, I'm going to start doing this. And
Okay.
so the podcast started officially in 2019 in like March. So I guess this is what, season 6 coming up, season 5 coming up, season 6. So the fun part about it is that I get to talk to incredible people from around the planet, man. And it's so trippy when you reach out to somebody that you've been following for a while, and you send them an email and like, hey, I don't know if you want to come on this podcast. Like, and they go, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, sure. I'll come on
Right.
the podcast.
Yeah.
Yeah, sounds great. You're like, oh, wait, hold on a sec. How many people can I do that with? So
Pretty much.
everybody, you just go, okay, and then one connection leads to another connection, and then then that's how your podcast grows, right? And it's really cool
Absolutely.
to kind of be in that space, because I really look up to all these people in the health and fitness world, and I have their books and I listen to their podcasts. And so just to be part, kind of like a node in that world, is really important to me. So, and that's why I'm literally, I just finished my next book, which is going to be released next year, which is a summary of the best conversations I've had on the podcast. and with a bunch of context and just some of my thoughts. And that's going to be published with a Real Deal publisher. Like, it's a Real Deal book deal, that's going to be focused on military and veteran health through the lens of the podcast. So I'm really excited about that too. And that never would have happened had I not even got started. So
Do you think you ever, like when you were growing up, did you ever think you would write a book one day?
no, no way, man. Dude, I really didn't like school. Like, I did well in it, but I really didn't like school. But that's the thing. I've always loved to read. I read a lot. And ever since I was a little kid, I started with comic books and then just whatever I wanted to get my hands on. But I really didn't like the shit that I had to read in school. So I would
Yeah.
always read my own novels. I would kind of skim through the ones that you'd have to read in high school. Some of them were great though. Like, if I really enjoyed the book, like I remember Fahrenheit 451, 431, 451. That was a really good book. I remember that one. 1984, I really love that book too. And these are books that we had to read in high school, but I've since read just on my own because they're cool. I love sci-fi too, and fantasy, and so those kind of genres are really intriguing to me. But now I read a lot of just like self-help and sales type books, business type books, to hone my craft, and fitness-based books as well. So I'm kind of in that world right now. I haven't read any fiction for a while, but the fact that I've written a book, and now I actually have a publishing house that wants to publish another book is so trippy, man. So that's gonna be my legacy, in my opinion. That's where my kids be like, "Hey, look, Dad wrote a book. Like, it's in the library."
You might be writing like 10 more, dude. You never know, man. So
Honestly, you never know. And one of the interesting things is I met a guy at the Mick conference, at Mick, but not this last, the one before we were at. So 2 years ago now. And his name's Remy Adeleke. He's a Navy SEAL, and he was the keynote opener for the conference 2 years ago.
okay.
And he impressed upon me like just a massive amount of inspiration, man, because he was actually a Nigerian prince. Like, his dad was like the head chief, man. And then they had like a civil war, and then they had to freaking get the hell. So he's like, I remember being in like the palace and seeing all the heads of state and just like being in that world. And then that was all taken away with me overnight. And they had to go move to Brooklyn with his mom and his brothers. And they had nothing. His dad got killed, like everything. It was like terrible.
Wow.
Right? So he ends up just like roughing it. Right. And, resorts to crime, and it tells this whole story. And then he gets to the point where he's just talking about like his mom had him every day read the New York Times and then write like a little summary, and then she'd correct it, be like, "Oh, you gotta fix it." And he was like, "Mom, what do you?" He'd just be like, "Oh," he'd roll his eyes. But he realized when he got into the military, he ended up becoming a Navy SEAL, and then he gravitated towards like writing reports and stuff. And I'm like, "Man, you're really good at this." So he became like part of like the SIGINT type operations, and then that translated into him literally writing New York Times bestsellers. And now he's he writes screenplays. He's got stuff on like Netflix. He's like, this all spurred from just being able to write and be consistent, and just have somebody believe in my abilities, and not realizing that this was a superpower. And that clicked for me because I was like, oh shit, I love to write. I've always been half decent at writing. And my teachers have always said, Dave, you really are good at writing. And then when I started writing blog posts, my friends were like, dude, I love reading your blog posts. They're really well written. And I never took that as anything other than like, well, everybody can write. I didn't see it as a skill. But now I'm realizing, oh, wait, it must be a skill that not everybody has. If not, there's no way a company would have said, hey, we want you to write a book if I sucked at writing.
Yeah, absolutely.
So now it's starting to click that this is something that I actually enjoy doing. It's something I do every day. I write by hand in my journal. It's a way for me to get my thoughts on paper and out of my head. And now it's kind of turning into almost what I do, which is really trippy because, again, you never know kind of what you're going to be good at like, especially like when you're a kid and when you're growing up. But then everybody has something that they're just naturally better at than anybody else. And it's typically because they really enjoy it and they find it interesting, and they actually become really good at it, and that translates to sports. But in this case, for me, it translates it into writing and speaking too. I didn't think I really enjoy speaking that much either, but it turns out I love chatting on the podcast and doing stuff like this. And it's essentially how I vision the rest of my life. The rest of my life, if I can do a podcast every day and, you know, write something and then work on a book, and if that's my life, and then get to hang out with my kids and just go work out, do some jiu-jitsu, like I've got it in my head.
Yeah, you got it. You're doing it, dude. It's not, you just don't have it in your head. You're actually doing it, and you've been doing it for years now. So all you got to do is keep going. It's going to keep growing, because I feel like in the podcast space, I mean, I'm sort of new to it, but it seems like from what you hear, most people just give up before, you know what I'm saying? Like, you know, they give up on themselves.
Episodes. 12 episodes.
12 episodes. So like, what is it? If you do like 50 episodes or 100, you're in like the top 1% or something like that, or something like that, right? So,
dude, I'm in the top 3% of podcasts. If you go on to listen notes is is like kind of the gold standard. So I think it's listennotes.com. If you just type in listen notes into Google and you have a podcast, you'll see it. If you've gone past, you know, 15, 20 episodes, you're likely in like the top 10%. Then if you go a little bit further past that, you'll be in the top 5%. And then after that, it's, you know, you start getting closer and closer to the top 1%, just because of sheer volume. And then typically, well, you hope that as you do more, you get better.
Absolutely. It's like a sport though. It's like a game, dude. It's a practice, like whatever. All right, I sucked on the first one. All right, let me do more. It's like a game. That's what I look at it like, you know what I mean? What about you?
Oh, 100%. If you go listen to episode 1 of my podcast, you know, it was done just, I had my laptop open. I didn't have mics, you know, it's just, we didn't have headphones. It was in my buddy's gym. Fans were going on. But I said, you know what, we're here. I just got to start. And once I start, it'll take form.
Absolutely.
Because if I don't hit publish and get the start, I'll never do it.
Right.
And I didn't have, my diction wasn't good. I had a lot of ums and ahs. And so every time I listen to a new one, I try to correct and be conscious of one thing that I want to improve upon. And the thing I'm trying to improve upon now is eliminate me using like as much as possible. So I'm trying to be as conscious as possible, not to say, well, like, just because I want to clean up my diction so that it's cleaner, so that it's less broken up, so I have less pauses. And I just want the experience for the end listener to be as clean and as enjoyable as possible, because I recognize I've got almost, I just said like, I've got about, I'm recognizing now, so I'm being self-conscious. So I've got approximately 200 episodes released on the podcast, and I can go back and see my progression. And that to me is like the crap. I just said like again, see, I'm trying to get,
now you just do it on purpose, dude.
Yeah, I'm trying to do it. So I'm trying to improve my craft by way of just being self-reflective and just understanding that there's ways to improve. And this is where I want to spend a lot of my effort in 2024 too, because I recognize there's a lot of potential in this podcast space, which is really brand new. If we think about it, it's just getting off the ground. It is the new media. So there was radio, TV, internet, now podcasting. And that's where, if you notice, like politicians and, you know, people that have any kind of influence, they start finding podcasts to get on, because they recognize a long form conversation is what people actually want to hear. They don't want sound bites anymore. So if you can master the craft and you have a good platform, attention is the new oil, and you'll be sought after just by virtue of the fact that you stayed in the game and you actually know what you're doing and have a good conversation with people. That's what people are looking for now. So that's where I'm excited about this whole genre. It's just getting started, right? And the veteran space is full with so much talent, dude. It's insane. Like you're just getting off the ground, man. And give yourself 2-3 years. If you don't know where you're going to be, it's going to be, you know, you could have hundreds of thousands of people listen to your podcast.
It's true, man. You just got to keep going, dude. You know what I mean? It's hard when you like first start and you kind of let it get the wrong things get to your head. Like, oh, no one's subscribing or no one's this. No, you just got to keep doing it, dude. Cause we're not in it for likes. We're not in it for subscribers. We're in it to change people's lives, share stories, you know, and just help people. We're not trying to, You know what I mean? And then if you build a business off of it, that's so be it, because, you know, our time shouldn't always be free. You know, you should, you know, be able to do what you want, coaching, mentoring, whatever that case may be. But I wanted to say these stats real quick, because I know I mentioned it earlier, but you have, as of March 2022, you said you have over 30,000 downloads and you're growing at about 25% per month, which is amazing. As of October 2022, the Hard to Kill podcast was rated the best veteran Army podcast, according to Broken Jarhead LLC, dude. Like, those are great accomplishments, man. So I just,
Thanks,
you know, like, congratulations to that. And hopefully, you know, I see you higher on the list, and we just keep elevating, dude. So, I mean, like, how does that make you feel when you got to hear that, like, that you got the best veteran podcast? What went through your head?
Oh, that was huge, man. I think I got, it's you can't see it right now. I think this is in the way, but there's the, it's right there. There's the award right there. It's in the background. I'm sorting out my studio to highlight some things. So for 2024, I'll have my studio all sexed up so you can see those things in the background. But that was pretty wild. Travis, who was at Mick this year, he helped put that together with the Broken Jarhead fellas. I don't think they're doing it anymore, which is actually good for me, because if they did only 2 years and I won one of the years as the best Army veteran podcast, I'm okay with that.
You're good with that.
And I was the only Canadian on the panel.
Damn.
Which was really cool too. And there were some really heavy hitters. Like I was on some of their podcasts. They have massive audiences. So there was a voting system, and it's just, you know, regular outreach. It was really cool to be awarded. I remember I was sitting on my couch watching it live, and my wife and my buddy were there, and they were watching other stuff, and I was just watching this video. Like, what is that? And I was like, oh shit! Like, like, I never win anything. This is amazing. So that was good, because it was just a validation of the hard work I've been putting in. So I was really appreciative of the platform to say, yeah, you know what, you earned this. And then, you know, the stats you're referring there, like those are over a year old. So I'm up to just shy of 100,000 downloads, and I'm number two. I'm the number 2 military podcast in Canada as well, which is another stat that came out. And again, that's all just from you getting great guests and putting yourself out there and constantly just adapting to the times and making sure that you have really topical content that people want to hear too. So that's one of the things that I'm really focused on too, is trying to get as much user input, because I've been doing this based off what I like. But now that I've got enough people listening, I want to know what they want to hear, man. So that's going to be an important part of my 2024 strategy, is to really connect with my audience, because it's big enough now to be able to leverage and get them the content that they really want to see. So that's going to be more lives. I'm going to be doing more lives. I'm going to be asking them more questions, and going to be gathering just a better audience moving forward. And at the end of the day, man, it's just fun. It's just really fun. Like I love getting into a topic. If somebody asks me a topic and I'm not quite sure what it's all about, I'll dig in. I love digging in, man. I got a science background, so I can read some papers. I can summarize them. I used to be a teacher. I'll sort out the curriculum for it. Like I'll get it delivered to you. You'll understand the gist of it at the end of the day. So that's essentially it, man. All it takes is just the will and establishing, like you said, the why at the very beginning of what you're setting up to do.
Absolutely. What I was going to ask you a quick thing. All right, I forgot that one, but I would like to ask you a question. Even for any veteran out there, maybe even hone in on the Canadian military, what would your message back to them be, like, before leaving service? I know you got a kind of abrupt notice in the mail, but, you know, maybe there's someone out there sitting in the same situation as you, or someone that may fall upon the same scenario. What would your message to them be, to make sure they can maximize their full potential of leaving the military and successfully transitioning to the civilian sector?
Yeah, that's a great question. And I would say the best thing to do is link up and connect with as many veterans as possible that are already out. I'm sure if you've been in for any length of time, you know enough fellas and ladies that have left. Canvas them for information. Hey, was this effective? Hey, was this program good? I'm thinking about doing this. What do you think? We have the means to do it. It's just you have to take that responsibility and own it, because I love the saying, you're your own self-rescue. The military sometimes creates this dependency on the big green machine. But when you get out, there's no more big green machine. It's gone. So if you've become institutionalized a bit too much and you're expecting things to be pushed to you, nope, it's not going to happen, man. You got to start thinking for yourself and realizing, oh, I'm in charge of this. And that starts with your medical file. That starts with everything related to your finances and pension. It's not, as much as it sucks, it's not the Army's job to sort your ass out. It's your job to sort your ass out. And sometimes that message isn't said loudly and clear enough that, no, dude, you need to sort this shit out, and don't let them dictate what's going to happen. You got to figure it out, and you got to find the programs, and you got to do what's necessary for you to thrive. So everybody's going to be a little bit different, but it really needs you to focus in on a few key people that you respect and that have gone through it. And if you can learn from their mistakes, even just at that, you'll be so much further ahead because you won't make the same mistakes. So you'll be able just to move through the process a little bit easier. And if anybody's learned anything from my experience, just chatting here on the podcast, it's just don't push everything down into a box and hope that it goes away. It's not. You got to tackle it head on, heal up, make sure you take care of yourself. For me, I'm in the fitness space. At the base level, you need your fitness dialed in. It needs to be focused. It needs to be something that you do consistently, because if you're not fit physically, it's very hard for your mind to work properly. So that's my biggest thing for most veterans is you're getting out. Well, guess what? That structure that you have of going and doing PT every day, it's going to be gone, man. So what's your new structure going to look like? Is it 20 minutes a day just going for a walk? Is it going for runs? Is it going to the gym? Set it up now. Because as soon as you get out, you're going to be thinking, I'm on easy street, man. I don't need to go for unit form up anymore. It's a wrong way to start thinking right off the bat. You need to start setting up the discipline and setting up the structure immediately for yourself, and get a battle buddy if you have to, and just start keeping the habit. Don't let it slip, because 10 years will go by like that. And then you're 50 pounds heavier, your back hurts, and you're wondering, how do I ever get here?
That's a good answer, dude. Because you're right. Because you can get away from that structure real fast. Because you're like, fuck that, I'm not waking up at 6 a.m. no more. And then you just lose that routine, which was actually not a bad thing, because it might suck when you're going through it. But once you're done with that workout and you get the whole day ahead of you, you got that, adrenaline or the endorphins flowing. You're feeling good, dude. You're up. It's over. You know what I mean? That shit's over. But yeah, I mean, I personally fell victim to it. So hopefully everyone takes heed to what Dave's trying to tell you guys. Just from experience, we're not trying to tell you how to live your life, but you're right. Physically fit, that just transpires to mentally, emotionally. So you got to get on it. And last question for you before we wrap it up is, where can people find your podcast and like your, anyone in Canada that maybe want to link up with you, or anywhere around the world, where can people find you and your podcast at?
Yeah. So the easiest way to find what I'm up to is just heading to my website, davemorrow.net. Podcast is there. Latest episodes are up there. There's blogs, there's merch, there's all kinds of stuff that's going on in the Dave Morrow sphere. I've also got Voluntold. I'm wearing the shirt right now, voluntold.co. That's our app project that we're building out. So we are...
You and Michael, right?
Yeah, me and my boy Mike. So we're building out an app because we're kind of fed up with veterans taking their own lives. So I know the fitness side, he knows the gaming side, and we're building an app that's going to bring fitness in terms of walking and running and doing challenges on a fun platform on your phone, and get the veteran community up and moving. And we're volunteering you to do it, because we're done seeing folks go down that rabbit hole and not taking care of their physical health, because we know that it's going to improve your mental health. So those two places, davemorrow.net. You can also find my book there as well, and voluntold.co.
Okay, for sure. We got to get Michael on, dude. He said he's down to get on, and maybe one time I can get both of you guys on, and we could do like a little roundtable chat just on the app and stuff like that, and make it happen, bro. But I know you got to get cut sling loads, but I appreciate you coming on. You got anything else that you want to lay out there? Or are you good to go?
No, man, this is great. I love the having the chance to come talk on your podcast and share the little bit I know with a new audience. So it's been a pleasure, man. And yeah, I'll come on anytime if you want to have me on, Mike, and anybody, any other Canadians you want to have. It's a small community up here, so just let me know and we'll make it happen.
I know. I saw like 6 of y'all. There was like 6 of y'all at Mick, and you guys were all cool, man. So I got to link up with the other few. And hey, do you count how many times you say "a" too? Like at the Mick, remember?
Did I say? Do I
no,
say?
No, you don't. But I was just fucking with you because I know you're not saying.
I'm not an A Canadian, but Ryan, who was there, he says it a lot. He's more Canadian than all of us, than me and everybody else combined. I tell him, I'm like, you're the most Canadian guy I know, man. You're the crazy Canadian. So one last thing too on the conference. So next year it's in Atlanta. Yeah. We're gonna have a Canada house. So we had 6 this year. We're supposed to have 20 next year. So stay tuned, man. And we're coming in force, my friend. We're going to have hockey sticks and maple syrup all over that place.
Oh shit! I might need to get me an honorary room, dude. Hey, what you got that cheese out in front of you for, dude? I can't see it, but you pulled that shit out the refrigerator like 3 hours ago. What you got?
We got that cheddar, man. We got
that cheddar, dude. Let's go, man.
Dude, that was our first interaction. It was perfect. And so lesser known fact, my favorite thing to eat out of an MRE is the jalapeno cheese. And so I was like, bro, Mike, if you can hook me up with some jalapeno cheese packs, like we've got something here. And yeah. So anyways, you didn't pull through, but it's okay.
Bro, it's in customs right now, dude. It's not clearing customs, man. That shit up on the border somewhere, dude. Send the syrup. I'll send the cheese, bro. We got a barter, dude. Send the maple syrup. I'll send the cheese, dude. I got you.
I love it, man.
Man, I appreciate you coming on, and I look forward to seeing what you're doing in your space and connecting with you further. And hopefully, I'll see you at the Mick next year and sometime up in Canada, man, when the weather's a little bit nicer. But hope you have a good rest of your day. And for everyone that stayed listening in this long, we appreciate y'all listening. If you guys are veterans or in the military space and you want to come and share your stories, be happy to have you on the platform. I'm sure Dave would too. So y'all have a blessed day, happy holidays, and have a good rest of your day. Take care.